My most exciting, dramatic scout experience was as a patrol leader during a regularly scheduled Monday night scout meeting, which coincided in 1943 with the first and only City of Atlanta official air raid blackout practice. It was conducted by the Georgia National Guard, and Boy Scouts were to be assigned as assistants, as first aiders and messengers and so forth, and several troops were participating. They lined up the patrol leaders, and I happened to be the last in line for assignments by the Georgia National Guard. When I got up to the lieutenant at his desk, he looked down and he said, and shook his head and he said, "I'm sorry, but we're out of assignments." I guess he saw my face fall, and he said, "Well, wait," and he scratched his head and said, "Well, you know, I know what you can do." He said, "You can be saboteurs. Your patrol can go out and blow up the DeKalb County Waterworks." I said, "Wow, that's right down my alley." So we got our bicycles, and by this time it was dark. We rode up North Decatur Road and down Claremont Road to the railroad bridge and up the bank of the railroad and hid our bicycles at the top of the hill. Apparently what the lieutenant had forgotten was that the National Guard was actually at that time guarding the DeKalb County Waterworks. Well, he also didn't know that the week before I had my patrol take a day hike right down those same railroad tracks past the DeKalb County Waterworks. And I had noticed as the 10-foot cyclone fence encircling the waterworks passed over several concrete spillways, leaving a big gap underneath the cyclone fence. Well, that's the way we were going to go into the waterworks, and that's what we did. I cautioned the boys, now don't start the rocks rolling down the spillway because it'll make a lot of noise. Well, the last scout hit the stones, and an avalanche of stones went rattling down the spillway, and a guard shack door popped open, and out came the guard, lowering his rifle, hollering, "Halt! Who goes there?" Well, we were hunkered down into a ditch down at the bottom of the hill, and the 8th scout stood up and said, "It's just us." Well, we stood up, and he said, "Advance and be recognized." We stood up and walked toward him and lined up. He said, "What in the world are you doing here?" And the 8th scout said, "We're going to blow up the waterworks." At which point, he pulled out a whistle and blew it, and a Jeep started up at the top of the hill, and down came a captain driving a Jeep with blackout lights and a horn blowing all the way down the hill. He stopped and asked us what we were doing there. The 8th scout said, "We are assigned to blow up the waterworks." Well, he marched us up to the command tent. Captain called Colonel Cords, the commandant of the Georgia National Guard, and told him what we were there, what had happened. Colonel Cords sent a 4-door Army sedan out from the courthouse to the waterworks for us, and they took us with a siren going full blast and blackout lights all the way back to the courthouse and up to the 2nd floor where Colonel Cords had his office. He asked, why were we at the waterworks? And we said, well, we were assigned to blow it up. At which point, he just about blew up. He cussed us out and picked up a telephone while we were standing right in front of his desk and called the lieutenant and cussed him out. He said, don't you know that the National Guard is out at the waterworks with a order to shoot to kill anybody inside of the enclosed fence who was not due to be there. We didn't know it, and apparently neither did the lieutenant know it. Well, after that, they put us back in the car and took us to the railroad bridge. We got our bicycles and we went home. That was some adventure.